Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, where we dive into the wildest moments in pop culture. And today, we've got a story that's got everyone talking. Picture this: Cher, the icon, the legend, steps onto the set of the Kelly Clarkson show, and what starts as a routine interview spirals into something nobody saw coming. This isn't your typical feel-good chat. There's tension, there's drama, and there's a moment that leaves Kelly Clarkson speechless. So, grab a drink, settle in, and let's break down how Cher shocked Kelly with a bold move after a heated clash. It all starts with Kelly Clarkson, our queen of daytime TV, doing what she does best: hyping up her audience, cracking jokes, and setting the stage for her next guest. The crowd's buzzing, the lights are bright, and Kelly's got that infectious energy that makes you feel like you're hanging out with your best friend. She's teasing the audience about her next guest, dropping hints about a music legend who's been slaying the game for decades. The crowd's eating it up, chanting, screaming, because they know who's coming. And then, with a flourish, Kelly announces, "Please welcome the one, the only, Cher." The place erupts. Cher struts out, all confidence, decked in a sleek black ensemble that screams rock star royalty. She's waving, blowing kisses, and the audience is losing it. Kelly's beaming, giving Cher a big hug, and they settle into those plush chairs for what everyone expects to be a fun, nostalgic chat. But here's where things start to shift. Kelly, being Kelly, dives right in with her signature warmth, asking Cher about her career, her latest projects, and how she's managed to stay relevant for so long. Cher's got stories for days, and she's dishing them with that sharp wit we all love. She's talking about her early days, the struggles, the triumphs, and how she's never been one to follow the rules. The audience is hanging on every word, laughing at her quips, cheering at her iconic moments. Kelly's feeding off it, throwing in her own anecdotes, and for a while, it's like two friends catching up. They're riffing on everything from Cher's classic hits to her wild fashion choices over the years. It's light, it's fun, but there's a spark in Cher's eyes, like she's holding something back, waiting for the right moment. Then Kelly pivots to a question that changes the vibe. She brings up Cher's recent social media posts, where she's been vocal about some hot-button issues in the music industry. Kelly's not trying to stir the pot, but she's curious, asking Cher to elaborate on her stance about younger artists and the pressures they face today. It's a fair question, the kind of thing Kelly's known for, getting real without being pushy. But Cher's demeanor shifts. She leans back, crosses her arms, and her smile fades just a touch. She starts talking, and her tone's got an edge. She's not holding back, calling out the industry for chewing up talent, for prioritizing profits over artistry, for pushing cookie-cutter pop stars who don't stand a chance at longevity. The audience is still with her, but you can feel the room getting heavier. Kelly nods, trying to keep it light, but Cher's not here for fluff. She's fired up, her voice rising as she talks about how the game's changed, how it's harder for artists to take risks when labels control everything. Kelly senses the shift and tries to steer things back, tossing in a joke about her own battles with record execs back in the day. The crowd chuckles, but Cher's not biting. She doubles down, pointing out how even someone like Kelly, with all her talent, had to fight tooth and nail to be herself. It's a compliment, sure, but it lands with a sting, like Cher's challenging her. Kelly's smile tightens, and you can see her processing, trying to keep the show on track. She agrees, shares a quick story about her own struggles. But Cher cuts in, her voice sharp now, saying the industry hasn't learned a damn thing. The audience gasps, not used to hearing this kind of rawness on daytime TV. Kelly's still game, but you can tell she's thrown. She tries to pivot again, asking about Cher's upcoming projects, but Cher's not done. She's got something to say, and it's clear she's been waiting for the right platform to say it. The tension's thick now, and the producers are probably sweating in the control room. Cher's not yelling, but her words are like bullets, precise and unapologetic. She starts calling out specific names, big players in the industry, and the audience is eating it up, but also shifting in their seats. This isn't the usual fluffy talk show fare. Kelly's trying to balance it, nodding, acknowledging Cher's passion. But you can see her glancing at the floor manager, like, how do we handle this? Cher's not breaking any rules, but she's pushing boundaries, and it's clear she's not here to play nice. The segment's supposed to wrap soon, but Cher's in the driver's seat, and she's not slowing down. She leans forward, locking eyes with Kelly, and says something that makes the whole room go quiet. It's not just what she says, but how. She says it, like she's daring Kelly to respond. And that's where we're headed next, into the moment that flips this whole interview on its head. Alright, so the stage is set, the air's thick with tension, and Cher's just dropped a bombshell that's got the entire audience holding their breath. She's staring down Kelly Clarkson, her eyes like lasers, and she says, "You know what's wrong with this industry, Kelly? Nobody's got the guts to call it like it is anymore." It's not just a statement, it's a challenge, thrown right at Kelly in front of a live audience. The room's so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Kelly's caught off guard, her usual quick wit stalling for a split second. She's used to keeping things upbeat, but Cher is not playing that game. This is raw, unfiltered, and it's clear. Cher's been itching to get this off her chest. Kelly recovers fast, though she's a pro, after all. She leans forward, matching Cher's intensity, and says, "Okay, Cher, let's go there." "What do you mean? Nobody's got the guts." It's a bold move, not backing down, and the audience leans in, sensing this is about to get real. Cher doesn't hesitate. She starts laying it out, no filter, talking about how artists today are afraid to speak up, how they're muzzled by contracts, PR teams, and social media backlash. She's not just venting, she's dissecting the system, pointing out how it rewards conformity over creativity. She's naming names again, not just execs, but artists she thinks are playing it too safe. The crowd's torn, some cheering her on, others looking uncomfortable because this is getting personal. Kelly's trying to keep the conversation on track, but it's like steering a runaway train. She asks Cher if she thinks it's always been this way, or if it's worse now. Cher scoffs, saying it's worse because the stakes are higher. Back in her day, she says, you could take a swing and miss, and you'd still get another shot. Now, one wrong move, and you're canceled, blacklisted, or worse, forgotten. She's not yelling, but her voice has this fire that makes every word hit hard. Kelly nods, clearly respecting Cher's perspective, but you can see her grappling with how to respond without derailing the show. She tries to lighten the mood, saying, "Well, you've never been one to hold back. Cher, I mean, your Twitter alone is a masterclass in speaking your mind." The audience laughs, grateful for the breather, but Cher's not here for levity. She smirks, but it's not playful. It's almost like she's sizing Kelly up. Then Cher takes it up a notch. She starts talking about Kelly's career, not in a mean way, but in a way that feels like she's testing her. She says, "You've got a voice, Kelly, one of the best, but even you've had to play their game, haven't you?" It's a gut punch, not because it's cruel, but because it's true. Kelly's face flickers, just for a moment, and you can tell it hits close to home. She's been open about her battles with the industry, how she's fought to stay authentic, but having Cher call it out, live on her own show, in front of her fans, it's a lot. Kelly takes a breath, and instead of deflecting, she leans into it. "Yeah, I have," she admits, her voice steady but raw. "It's not easy, and sometimes you lose pieces of yourself trying to keep up." The audience claps, but it's not the usual hype. It's like they're acknowledging the realness of the moment. Cher nods, like she's satisfied with Kelly's honesty, but she's not done pushing. She starts talking about a specific incident from years back, something about a record label exec who tried to control Kelly's sound early in her career. Cher's got details, names, and it's clear she's done her homework. The crowd's buzzing because this is insider tea being spilled on live TV. Kelly's eyes widen, not because she's mad, but because she's surprised. Cher knows this much. She laughs, a little nervously, and says, "Wow, Cher, you've been digging, haven't you?" It's a light moment, but the tension's still there, simmering. Cher's not backing off, and she's steering this conversation into territory Kelly didn't expect. The producers are definitely freaking out now, because the segment's running long, and this isn't the fluffy, feel-good interview they planned. Cher's turning this into a platform, and Kelly's caught between keeping her show on track and letting this moment play out. She tries to pivot, asking Cher about her own experiences with pushy execs, hoping to shift the focus. But Cher's locked in, and she's got one more card to play. She leans forward, her voice dropping low, and says, "Kelly, you're sitting here, hosting this show, with all this power. What are you going to do with it?" It's not just a question, it's a gauntlet thrown down, and the audience feels it. Kelly's frozen for a second, her smile fading, because Cher's not just talking about the past anymore. She's talking about right now, about what Kelly stands for, and it's clear this is building to something bigger. So, Cher's just put Kelly Clarkson on the spot, asking her what she's going to do with the power she's got, hosting her own show, sitting in front of millions. It's not just a question, it's a challenge, and the weight of it hangs in the air. Kelly's staring at Cher, her usual quick comeback nowhere to be found. The audience is dead silent, waiting for her to respond, and you can feel the stakes climbing. This isn't just about a heated debate anymore. Cher's pushing Kelly to confront something bigger, something about her place in the industry, her influence, her responsibility. The camera zooms in on Kelly's face, and you can see her mind racing, trying to process what's happening while keeping the show together. Kelly takes a deep breath, her hands gripping the arms of her chair, and she says, "You know, Cher, that's a big question. I try to use this platform to lift people up, to tell stories that matter." Her voice is steady, but there's a vulnerability there, like she's still figuring out the answer herself. The crowd claps, but it's tentative, like they're not sure where this is going. Cher nods, but her expression's hard to read. She's not letting Kelly off the hook. "That's good," Cher says, her tone measured. but lifting people up doesn't mean much if the system's still rigged against them. It's a sharp jab, not at Kelly personally, but at the whole machine they're both part of. The audience murmurs, some nodding, others looking uneasy. Because Cher's not just talking about music now, she's digging into the bigger picture, the way power works, the way things stay broken. Kelly's not backing down though. She leans forward, her eyes locked on Cher, and says, "Okay, so what's the move? You're calling it out, but how do we fix it?" It's a bold counter, turning the challenge back on Cher, and the crowd loves it, cheering her on. Cher smirks, like she respects the pushback, and starts laying out her thoughts. She talks about how artists need to band together, how they need to stop letting labels pit them against each other. She's not preaching, she's strategizing, like a general, planning a battle. She mentions collectives, mentorships, ways to give new artists a fighting chance without selling their souls. It's compelling, and the audience is eating it up. But Kelly's listening with this intensity, like she's weighing every word, maybe even questioning her own role in all this. The conversation's getting deeper, and it's clear this isn't just about the music industry anymore. Cher starts weaving in stories from her own career. Times she stood up to execs, times she lost battles but kept fighting. She's not bragging, she's showing the scars, the moments where she had to claw her way back. Kelly's nodding, relating, and she shares a story of her own, about a time she almost walked away from music because the pressure was too much. It's raw, real, and the audience is right there with them, hanging on every word. The vibes shifted from confrontation to something else, like two warriors swapping war stories, recognizing they're on the same side of a bigger fight. But just when it feels like they're finding common ground, Cher pivots again. She starts talking about the media, how shows like Kelly's, as great as they are, sometimes play into the same game, hyping up drama for ratings, focusing on the wrong things. It's not an accusation, but it lands like one. Kelly's face tightens, and you can tell she's feeling the heat. She's proud of her show, of the way she tries to keep it real. But Cher's pointing out the trap, how even the good ones get caught in the system's web. The audience is split, some clapping for Cher's honesty, others looking at Kelly, waiting to see how she handled this. Kelly doesn't snap back, but she's not smiling either. She says, "I hear you, Cher, but I'm trying to do something different here. This show's about connection, not just clicks." It's a solid defense, but Cher's not swayed. She leans in, her voice low and intense, and says, "Then prove it. Do something real, right now." That's the moment the whole room shifts. It's not just a suggestion, it's a dare, and everyone feels it. Kelly's eyes widen, not because she's scared, but because she knows Cher's pushing her into uncharted territory. The producers are probably losing their minds, because this is way off script, and the clock's ticking on the segment. The audience is buzzing, sensing something big's about to happen. Kelly's got a choice to make, and you can see her weighing it, her mind racing. She could laugh it off, cut to commercial, keep the show safe, or she could take the bait, step into whatever Cher's setting up. The tension's electric, and it's clear this is the moment everything's been building toward, the spark that's about to ignite something unforgettable. So, Cher's just thrown down the gauntlet, daring Kelly Clarkson to do something real right there on her show, and the tension's so thick you could cut it with a knife. The audience is on edge, eyes darting between Cher and Kelly, waiting for what's next. Kelly's sitting there, her hands clasped tight, her face a mix of determination and uncertainty. You can see her processing, knowing this moment could define the whole interview, maybe even more. The producers are likely having a meltdown in the booth, because this is live TV, and Cher's steering them into uncharted waters. Kelly takes a beat, her eyes locked on Cher, and then she does something nobody expects. She doesn't dodge or deflect. Instead, she leans forward and says, "All right, Cher, let's do it. What's the play?" The crowd erupts, not just because Kelly's taking the challenge, but because her voice has this fire, like she's ready to meet Cher head on. Cher's lips curl into a sly grin, like she knew Kelly had it in her. She doesn't waste a second, diving right into her idea. She says the show's platform is huge, but it's not enough to just talk about the industry's problems. She wants Kelly to use her stage to amplify someone new, someone who's fighting the same battles they've been talking about, someone the system's trying to silence. Cher's not just riffing, she's got a name in mind, a young artist she's been mentoring on the side, someone who's got talent but no connections, no big label backing. The audience is buzzing, because this feels like a real-time plot twist, like Cher's turning the show into something bigger than anyone planned. Kelly's listening, her eyes narrowing as she takes it in. You can tell she's intrigued, but also cautious. Because this is her show, her brand, and Cher's asking her to take a risk. She asks for details, wanting to know who this artist is, what their story is. Cher doesn't hold back, painting a picture of this young singer, barely in their 20s, who's been writing raw, honest music but keeps getting shut down by execs who want them to fit a mold. Cher's voice softens as she talks about their struggle, how they remind her of her own early days, fighting for a voice. The audience is eating it up, clapping, some even tearing up. Because Cher's not just preaching now, she's telling a story that hits home. Kelly's nodding, her skepticism giving way to curiosity, and you can see her starting to buy in. But here's where it gets tricky. Kelly's all about uplifting new talent, but she knows her show's got constraints, sponsors, schedules, all the behind-the-scenes stuff that keeps the machine running. She's upfront about it, saying, Cher, I love this idea, but you know how this works. I can't just snap my fingers and put someone on the show. The crowd murmurs, sensing the push and pull. Cher doesn't blink. She says, that's the problem. Kelly, you're still thinking like they want you to think. You've got the mic, you've got the stage, use it. It's not harsh, but it's direct, and it lands like a challenge. The audience gasps, because Cher's calling out the system again, and Kelly's right in the crosshairs. Kelly doesn't flinch. She's got this spark in her eyes now, like she's done playing it safe. She turns to the audience, almost like she's thinking out loud, and says, you know what? Maybe Cher's right. Maybe it's time to shake things up. The crowd goes wild, cheering her on, because they can feel the shift. Kelly looks at her floor manager, who's probably signaling to wrap it up, but she waves them off. She turns back to Cher and says, tell me more about this artist. Let's see what we can do. It's a moment of defiance, not just against the system, but against the polished routine of her own show. The audience is on their feet, and Cher's grinning like she's just won a bet. Cher starts laying out a plan, not just for this artist, but for something bigger. A way to spotlight new voices on Kelly's show regularly, to give them a shot without the usual gatekeepers. She's talking fast now, passionate, like she's been planning this for years. Kelly's right there with her, asking questions, throwing out ideas, and it's like they're building something in real time. The segment's way over time, but nobody cares. Not the audience, not the crew, because this feels like history in the making. Cher's pushing for a commitment, not just talk, and Kelly's starting to see the vision. But just as they're hitting this rhythm, Cher drops another bombshell. Something so bold it stops Kelly in her tracks, and it's about to change everything. So, Cher and Kelly are in the middle of this electric moment, hashing out a plan to spotlight new artists on the Kelly Clarkson show, and the audience is all in, cheering like they're witnessing a revolution. Kelly's stepping up, pushing back against the constraints of her own show, and Cher's right there, fueling the fire with ideas. They're vibing, building something real, and it feels like they're about to shake up the industry right there on live TV. The crew's scrambling. The producers are probably tearing their hair out, but nobody's stopping this train. Then, Cher hits the brakes with a move so bold it makes everyone's jaw drop. She looks at Kelly, her eyes intense, and says, why stop at one artist? Let's make this a movement. Bring me on as a regular. Kelly, let's do this together. The audience loses it, roaring with excitement. Because Cher's not just suggesting a guest spot, she's proposing a partnership. A full-on commitment to use Kelly's platform to change the game. Kelly's stunned, her eyes wide, because this is next level. Cher's not talking about a one-off segment. She's talking about teaming up. Using her legend status in Kelly's show to amplify voices that don't get heard. It's a power move, and it's clear Cher's been planning this, waiting for the right moment to lay it all out. The crowd's chanting, some yelling Cher's name, others shouting for Kelly to say yes, and the energy's unlike anything the show's ever seen. Kelly's reeling, but she's not one to back down from a challenge. She laughs, a little shaky, and says, Cher, you're coming for my whole show now. It's a joke, but there's truth in it, because this is huge. She's got to think about her team, her network, the logistics of bringing a legend like Cher on board regularly. But you can see the wheels turning, the spark in her eyes as she starts to imagine what this could be. She asks Cher to break it down, to explain what this partnership would look like. Cher doesn't hesitate, laying out a vision for a recurring segment, maybe even a spin-off, where they scout new talent, give them a stage, and mentor them live. She's talking about raw, unfiltered performances. No auto-tune, no label interference, just real artists telling real stories. The audience is eating it up, clapping, cheering, because this isn't just TV, it's a call to action. Cher's leaning in, her voice steady but passionate, saying they could show the world what music can be when it's not chained to the industry's rules. Kelly's nodding, but you can tell she's wrestling with the practical side. She's got sponsors, schedules, a whole machine behind her show, and Cher's asking her to rewrite the playbook. She says, Cher, I love this, but you know how hard it is to make something like this happen. The network's not gonna just roll over. Cher smirks, unfazed, and says, they will if you make them. You're Kelly Clarkson. They need you more than you need them. It's a mic drop moment, and the crowd goes wild. Because Cher's not just hyping Kelly up, she's reminding her of her own power. Kelly takes a moment, looking out at the audience. Then back at Cher, you can see her weighing the risk. the potential, the sheer audacity of what Cher's proposing. She's not just thinking about her show now, she's thinking about her legacy, about what she wants to stand for. The audience is still buzzing, some people standing, others shouting encouragement, and it's clear they're all in for whatever's coming next. Kelly finally speaks, her voice firm but excited, saying, "All right, Cher, let's talk for real. If we're doing this, we're doing it right." The crowd erupts again, and Cher's grin is pure triumph, like she knew Kelly would. Step up. They start spitballing details right there, live on air, tossing ideas back and forth like they're already co-hosts. Cher's pushing for a no BS approach, raw performances, real stories, and Kelly's adding her own spin, suggesting ways to tie it to her show's vibe of connection and authenticity. The producers are probably having heart attacks, because the segment's way past its time slot, but Kelly's not stopping, and neither is Cher. The audience is glued, sensing this is bigger than just one episode. But just as they're hitting their stride, Cher throws in one final twist, something that pushes this whole thing into uncharted territory and leaves Kelly, and everyone watching, completely floored. So, Cher and Kelly are deep in this game-changing moment, riffing on a plan to turn the Kelly Clarkson show into a launchpad for new artists. With Cher as a regular partner, the audience is electric, cheering every idea, and the energy's like nothing the show's ever seen. Kelly's all in, her doubts giving way to excitement as she and Cher bounce ideas, talking about raw performances, mentorships, and a platform that could rewrite the rules of the music industry. The producers have given up trying to rein things in. The segment's blown past its time slot, and the crowd's on their feet, feeding off this raw, unscripted vibe. Just when it feels like they've hit a peak, Cher leans in, her voice dropping low, and says, "Kelly, there's one more thing. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm funding the first season of this, and I want you to run it with me." The room explodes. It's not just a bold move, it's a seismic shift. Cher's not just offering her name or her time. She's throwing in her own resources to make this happen. No network approval, no middleman, just her and Kelly taking control. Kelly's jaw drops, her hands flying to her face, because this is beyond anything she expected. The audience is screaming, some people jumping, others just staring in disbelief, because Cher's turned this from a talk show moment into a full power play. Kelly stammers, laughing through the shock, and says, "Cher, you're serious? You're just gonna drop that on me, live on my show?" Cher nods, her eyes gleaming, and says, "Damn right, you in or not?" It's not just a question, it's a line in the sand, and everyone knows it. Kelly's reeling, but you can see the fire in her eyes. She's not just thinking about the logistics now, she's seeing the bigger picture, the chance to do something that could change lives, not just careers. She looks out at the audience, who are chanting her name, urging her to say yes. And you can tell she's feeling the weight of the moment. She turns back to Cher, her voice steady but charged, and says, "You know what, Cher, I'm in. Let's do this thing." The crowd loses it, the noise so loud it's shaking the studio. Cher reaches over, grabs Kelly's hand, and raises it like they're co-champions in a ring, sealing the deal right there on live TV. It's a moment that feels bigger than the show, bigger than either of them, like they're starting something that could ripple for years. They keep talking, laying out the basics of this new venture, a show within a show, where they'll scout talent, give them a stage, and guide them through the industry's minefield. Cher's talking about bringing in other legends, people she's worked with, to mentor alongside them. Kelly's throwing in ideas about tying it to her show's roots, making it about real stories, real struggles, not just glossy performances. The audience is hanging on every word, some crying, others cheering, because this isn't just entertainment, it's a promise to do something different. The crew's finally given up trying to cut to commercial, letting this moment play out, because they know it's history in the making. As the segment finally winds down, Kelly looks at Cher, still holding her hand, and says, "You came on my show and turned it upside down. You know that?" Cher laughs, that iconic, throaty laugh, and says, "Good, it needed it." The audience roars one last time, and Kelly wraps the segment, promising the viewers they'll hear more about this soon. The cameras pull back, the music swells, but the real story's just beginning. Cher's bold move, putting her own money and name on the line, has flipped the script, not just for Kelly's show, but for what a platform like hers can do. They're not just talking about change, they're making it happen, and the world's watching. So, what happens next? Will Kelly and Cher pull this off, or will the industry's machine try to shut it down? That's the question everyone's asking, and you know we'll be here to break it all down as it unfolds. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about Cher's move, Kelly's response, in this whole wild ride? Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter. Until then, keep it real, and we'll see you in the next one.